Hello everyone, Ghost Prime back here with a review of Warfare Cybertron Siege Soundwave. Now this is a Soundwave I've been waiting for my Chug collection. He looks really good. He does have a lot of that battle damage on him, but I feel he looks a lot better than the Titan's Return Soundwave. The sculpt is much better. The Titan Return Soundwave always looked like he was surprised to me, like he just saw a ghost. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Like he just saw a ghost or something with those big, wide eyes. Didn't work for me being a repainted blaster. This one is much better now. It is much smaller, but there's a lot of detail packed into this guy. And one thing he does not turn into is a tape deck. Now, there's a few fan modes out there. One of them you have to pop off his arms, which I'm not willing to do, to get him into that tape deck mode. I wish there was a tape deck mode. He does however, happen to have his lamppost mode from the Generation 1, the first Generation 1 cartoon. I believe it was the first episode of the Generation 1 cartoon. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get to the review. Okay, let's start off with the packaging for Soundwave. So he comes in a box very similar to the other Siege figures. He has a picture of Soundwave on the side. Alt mode, little features, shows how he can connect with the Battle Masters, and the robot mode on the back. Side has the arc, and a nice little image here. One of the things about this box that's interesting is if you open the bottom flap here, it will show lamppost mode. Now, this is the only place you see this image at in a visible form, and I'll get to that in a minute. He's not in the instructions. You kind of have to look at this and make your assumptions on where everything goes. It's pretty simple to do, but he has a lamppost mode. Now, this is his only G1 mode. They actually made him a spaceship, like they did Shockwave. I guess it makes sense because he's on Cybertron and hasn't come to Earth yet. This is the whole premise behind this series. So he wouldn't be a tape deck. Now on the side here, now if you can see it, you kind of make it out right there in the light. If you look, it's a different sheen on it. Now, I believe PL's used a black light to see it. You can see it that way too. I don't happen to have a black light. All the Siege figures have this different shine on the side here, on this side, on these images, every single one of them. Like they were originally going to have a different packaging for it. So somewhere along the lines, this was probably going to be his main transformation. And then they went with the ship. Now, onto the figure. This is Warfare Cybertron Siege Soundwave. Now, this sculpt looks amazing. He does borrow a lot from, let me see if I can adjust the camera here a little bit. He does borrow a lot from the sculpt work of the Masterpiece with some additional details. If you look at his head, it's very close to the Masterpiece as far as how stylized it is. He does have some extra details inside the ears here and on the face mask. This Soundwave does also have a spring-loaded working tape deck with a little button there. And if you look on, he has his left hand. He has his little fingers pointed, so he could actually, let me get up real close to show you guys, press it himself. It's kind of neat. Kind of neat that he could do that. I like that. I think that's really cool. So he looks fantastic in robot mode. He looks just really great. Not too much of a backpack. He does have a bit of a backpack. He does also happen to have that stand forward a bit. Like, see if we can get a good side view here. See how his legs are kind of facing this way? He doesn't have rockers, so has that Megatron problem where he stands a bit forward. Now, I don't know if they did that on purpose or that's just the way it worked out. So, I mean, you kind of bend his knees back a little bit and make him look pretty natural with it, but it's just one of those unfortunate things. Now, he is also fairly solid. If you notice, there's not very many hollow bits. He's got some hollow bits back here. Hollow bit here. Those aren't too bad. The biggest hollow bits are in his arms. And those are huge. But this is where his hands go in. So I guess it's excusable. He does come with his shoulder-mounted cannon. He comes with his handheld blaster. And he comes with this thing, which it's a handheld gun. Now, this thing has no real place in his transform mode. It's just an extra accessory. It's almost like they needed to justify something. I mean, this guy's pretty solid. So I'm not, like, plastic-wise. So I'm not sure why they would need to add an extra accessory that it seems superfluous. So what this does is you open it up like this. And this end goes in here. And this goes in like that. And it becomes a rather long gun, which, in my opinion, looks very strange. We're just going to give this to someone else, which I'll show later. For articulation. So articulation-wise, he's got swivels on the biceps, full 360 at the shoulder, goes out to a right angle. This keeps doesn't pop in very well on mine. He has a double jointed elbow. We can do full range of motion here. Waist swivel. These little flaps for his legs could go 90 degrees and backwards. He's got regular hinge joints on it as for his hips, but he has a swivel on his thigh, 90 degrees at the knee. No back and forth to say anything. He can go a little far forward or a little bit further forward, not very far backward. That was really hard to say for some reason. He does have the ankle tilts, which go not as far as some of them, but still pretty decent. Head is on a ball joint, and he can kind of go left and like inquisitive look a little bit, all the way around, not very far up or down. As for transformation on this guy, he's not very hard to transform. He's got this backpack here, which you kind of open up like this. Head goes down in there. This piece, he's got this joint here. It says, on mine, it's really tight. Okay, I keep feeling like I'm going to break it. Goes up like that on his waist. Panels on his legs open up. And these little end pieces come out. Feet go inside there and fold in to conceal the feet. Legs get turned this direction in. And you can see his little cockpit on his butt there. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. Snap those down. Snap the pegs together. Make sure it's all in. Take the backpack part, move it up a little bit, and this sits on top of that. Now you have the back piece. Fold, put these in a little bit so they fit. There, it folds up and together. These pieces fold on top of where the head would go. So now the arms, unpeg them from here on either side. Move the fists in. And these get folded, twisted, and folded under. This here, little skid thing, comes out. You can see a little peg right here. And that will peg into right here. So you move the little skid thing out, landing gear, if you will, and then connect it. Squeeze it together here and squeeze it together there. Now swing these around to the other little skis. These pieces here, go up like this. Now the instructions say to put the weapons on top, like so. Oh. And there he is in his spaceship mode. Now, as this mode, he looks okay. He looks okay. I'm not really sold on it being a spaceship personally. It's all right. I guess it doesn't need to be aerodynamic to be in space. He does just kind of look like Soundwave laying down to me, which is unfortunate. But he does have another mode. So let me see if I can get him into that one. So you basically kind of half transform him from the ship back to the robot. So you have to move this up, unfold the leg panels, and then you twist them around to get his feet out. Lift these up. Feet come out. Panels go back down. Legs stand up like this. Then you take his arms and unpeg them. Move them around. Waist goes back up and connects. Turn it around. Arms back up and snap. And then, now, what's interesting about this is, see if we can move these little skids back around. So what's interesting is there's a little peg right, let's see if I can get a good picture. There's a little peg right there that pegs into this piece right here for the, hang on, get his shoulder the right way, or his elbow. I can't find the peg there. Peg's right in there. So this was mint. This is an official mode. It's just not in the instructions this way. And you take the other arm, you do basically the same thing. A little peg goes in there. And then you just kind of bend them over like that. Now you could take the weapons off or you could leave them on. It's entirely up to you. So there. That's his lamppost mode. From, I believe, More Than Meets the Eye, Part 1. So there. He has a G1 mode, if that's what you'd like. Now, let's get him back in a robot mode. Talk a little bit about this guy. One thing about this figure is, it is the Soundwave I've been waiting for my Chug collection. One of the things that I have collected mainly is Chug, and this new Siege line is, well, it's got me wanting to collect all of them. I guess it's a discussion for another day, but where do they fit in, right? This guy actually fits in fairly well with Chug, in my opinion. He's got up at the right height. He is a Voyager class figure, so he's about the $30 mark. Height-wise, he scales with Megatron quite nicely. Megatron is a little bigger, as they were in the show, though. So Megatron always should be a little bigger. As you can see, he's a little bit shorter. But definitely scales with this figure, which I also think scales with my Classics collection, personally. Now, let's see some other Soundwaves for scale. This is the Deluxe War for Cybertron Soundwave. And you can see how he's a little bit taller than him. He's much more hefty. This is very light, and I'm really glad they don't make Transformers like this anymore. This is the build quality, and this is quite nice. All the joints are really tight. G1 Soundwave. See how he compares. And Masterpiece Soundwave. He doesn't even fit up there. Let me move the camera a little bit. So one thing I was talking about with this one is that it borrows a lot of design aesthetics from this guy. Now, if I can get his face in here together real close and get it in focus. It's hard to focus on both. You could see, so you kind of see where the face is very, very, very similar. Like these pieces on the side and how these pieces come out and this line here. Of course, he's Soundwave, so all the faces are going to be similar, but it borrows the most from this guy. Also, the whole shape of the body and the arm, and just the way that the large sizes of these versus the small size of this, the forearm, are very similar. Definitely borrows a lot from Masterpiece Soundwave, which isn't a bad thing. Masterpiece Soundwave is pretty awesome. All the way down to his buttons on his waist. And before I forget, there was one more thing I wanted to show you. What to do with this gun. Now, it seems the only reason that Soundwave was given this gun to come with was so he could complete Megatron. So now, Megatron has his signature gun barrel coming up out of the back, just like he should have. So that's the only good use I could think for that gun. So in conclusion, whether you've been waiting for the right Soundwave for your Chug collection, or you really like the Siege line and you want to go for it, this is a great Soundwave to have in the collection. He is definitely the Soundwave I wanted for my Classics Chug collection, which I'm still building. There's still some missing pieces. Really nice. I can't wait to get the tapes. I have not got Laserbeak or Ravage yet. So yeah, let me know what you think of this guy. I think he's really great, and I'm really happy to have him in my collection. So until next time, catch you later.